In the village called Okuta, life moved with the rhythm of drums, the call of market women, and the steady sweep of the wide river that bordered its edge. It was here that Chijioke, a fisherman, struggled against misfortune. His nets often came up empty, his canoe creaked with age, and creditors knocked on his door more than customers. His wife, Amara, stretched food until it tasted more of water than yam. Though their love was strong, hunger gnawed daily. In quiet moments, Chijioke stared at the river as though it mocked him. Chijioke's father had been a respected hunter. His mother was a gifted storyteller. They left him only memories and a broken heart when they died. Now he carried the burden of providing for his household alone. Amara tried to encourage him, reminding him of seasons when fish leaped so freely it seemed they offered themselves. But Chijioke could only see the emptiness in his nets and the disappointment in his daughter's hungry eyes. At night, he heard villagers whisper that perhaps the river had turned its back on him. The people of Okuta believed the river was not mere water, but a living being, Imiri Wine, the river mother. Elders warned against careless words near its banks, for the spirit had a memory sharper than iron. Some spoke of families blessed with sudden abundance after midnight visits to the river. Others whispered of children who vanished into the waves, debts collected by unseen hands. Chijioke listened, half believing, half dismissing. But each night, when his nets failed again, the forbidden band called to him with a silence that felt like invitation. Amara noticed the heaviness in her husband's steps. "You cannot wrestle water with your hands," she told him gently one evening, as she prepared tin soup for supper. "Patience brings fish." But patience had brought them nothing but ridicule. Neighbors mocked quietly, saying Chijioke's blood was cursed. Creditors pressed harder. That night, as he sat alone, the moon's reflection danced on the river like silver coins. Hunger, shame, and fear bound him like chains. A thought entered his mind, dangerous, unspoken, yet tempting. Perhaps the river mother could be bargained with. He resisted for days, but desperation wore down his pride. One night, Chijioke walked alone to the forbidden bend, where reeds swayed like watchers and mist curled thick as cloth. He dropped to his knees, heart hammering. "River mother," he whispered, voice raw with grief. "If you would fill my nets, ease my suffering, I will give you my firstborn." The water stilled, and a glow spread across its surface. Rising from it was a woman's figure, beautiful and terrible, with eyes like deep wells. "A child is no coin," she murmured. Chijioke froze before the glowing figure. Her voice was calm, yet it carried a weight that pressed on his chest. "Do you understand what you offer?" she asked. He bowed, trembling. "I have nothing else. My family is starving. Take what I cannot yet see. Only give us life now." The river mother studied him, her face unreadable. The waves crawled around his feet, cold as iron. At last she nodded. "So be it. Your nets will fill, but remember, water does not forget. Your firstborn will be mine." Then the glow sank. The following morning, Chijioke's net returned heavy, bursting with fish that glistened like silver coins under the sun. Villagers gasped at his sudden fortune. By noon, buyers crowded his hut, eager to trade. Creditors smiled politely, pretending they had never mocked him. Chijioke's wife, Amara, laughed with joy for the first time in many months. She praised the river for its kindness, not knowing the secret he carried. That night, while Amara and their daughter slept, Chijioke sat awake staring at the river through the window, gratitude mixed with dread in his chest. Seasons passed and wealth settled into their home like a long-awaited guest. Chijioke built a stronger canoe, bought clothes for Amara, and repaired their crumbling hut. Their daughter Ifunanya grew taller, her laughter filling the compound like music. Neighbors praised Chijioke's blessings from the river, unaware of the bargain beneath. Yet he never let Ifunanya wander near the banks of the river. Even when she begged to play with other children by the water, he forbade it. The river is dangerous, he said sternly, though his fear was not of drowning. Amara noticed her husband's unease. "Why do you look at Ifunanya as though she would vanish?" she asked him one evening. Chijioke forced a smile. "I only fear the river's hunger. Many have been lost to it." Amara accepted the answer, though she remained troubled. At night, Chijioke's dreams were haunted by visions. The river mother standing in the mist, calling for his daughter with outstretched hands. He woke in sweat, clutching his chest and whispering prayers. The more Ifunanya grew, the more the weight of his secret pressed against him. On Ifunanya's 12th birthday, a strange mist drifted into Okuta. Though the sky was clear, the villagers said the river was restless. Children claimed they heard a woman singing in the night, a melody both beautiful and sad. Ifunanya herself dreamed of walking along the riverbank guided by a soft voice. She told her mother, who dismissed it as an imagination. But when Chijioke heard it, his stomach twisted. He knew the river had begun to call. The promise he made was no longer far away. The day of reckoning approached swiftly. Market gossip grew louder after the mist. Old women whispered that the river mother walks most clearly when a child nears an important birthday. The chief priest, Ezeoma, urged families to avoid night walks and to speak softly near the river banks. Ifunanya listened with mixed feelings. She loved the water's glimmer, but sensed a shadow inside it. Amara held her closer, asking her to fetch firewood only in groups. Chijioke began carving charms, hiding them in Ifunanya's bracelets and combs. Protection felt thin, like clothes worn too often in rain. One evening, a traveler named Umaize arrived, calling himself a bead seller. He rented a small hut near the river and smiled with polite warmth. His beads shone like drops of captured moonlight. Ifunanya admired a pale blue strand. "It sings when the river is near," Umaize said. Chijioke's shoulders tightened. Something in the man's eyes held an old knowing. Amara thanked him and steered her daughter away. Later that night, Chijioke dreamt of hands lifting water like a curtain. Behind it, a face waited, patient as tide. When Ifunanya turned 13, the river rose higher than usual, though the sky was clear. Canoes bobbed nervously, ropes creaked, and the reed beds leaned as if listening. Ezeoma performed a quiet rite, pouring palm wine that spread on the surface like a thin veil. "Keep your promises," he warned no one in particular. Chijioke avoided his gaze. That evening, Umaize visited with a basket of cowries. He gifted a shell to Ifunanya, saying it would hum when danger approached. The shell felt warm in her hand, alive with faint music. Amara began asking questions. "Chijioke, why does the priest speak in riddles near our doorway?" she pressed. "What happened before our fortune arrived?" His silence told a story. He confessed, describing the desperate night, the glowing woman, and the promise he sealed with fear. Amara's eyes filled, then steadied. "You should have trusted me," she said. You tied our child's name to a bargain she never heard. Chijioke begged for forgiveness, but apology did not unmake the rope. They agreed. Ifunanya must be told the truth. They sat with their daughter by the heart. Chijioke spoke slowly, and Amara did not soften the edges. Ifunanya listened with her hands folded, eyes widening but steady. So the river filled our bowls and I am the prize? She asked quietly. Amara pulled her close. You are not a prize. You are our child, and we will fight this. Ifunanya breathed deeply. Fear wrote the first promise. Let courage write the second. She decided to face the river openly with both parents beside her and Mmaize watching at a distance. At the forbidden bend, the mist lifted like a breath on a window. The river stilled, then spoke without forming a face. I remember, it said. A man begged. Water answered. A firstborn was promised. Ifunanya stepped forward, her voice calm and steady. I will not be taken like a hidden coin. If I must speak, I speak freely. What choice do you offer? The water darkened thoughtfully. Return at your 16th birthday. Come willingly, and you shall live under my protection. Refuse, and the depth will shape itself another way. Chijioke's knees weakened. Amara gripped Ifunanya's hand. There must be another path, the mother said, eyes sharp. Love is also a law. The river replied, love is not a debt collector, but it respects doors opened by choice. The water withdrew. Mmaize's face was unreadable. You still have time, he murmured. Teach her strength, not fear. Promises listen to how a person stands. Ifunanya thanked him for the shell, which hummed faintly against her palm. They walked home in silence, each counting the moons that remained like beads on a cord. The years between 13 and 15 felt like walking across threads. Ifunanya learned to weave nets, to watch herbs for fever, and to steer a canoe through gentle currents. She kept her distance from the bend, but visited the shallow children's inlet. Amara taught her quiet skills, how to keep a house standing even when worry lives inside it. Chijioke took Ifunanya fishing at dawn, trying to replace fear with memory. In the evenings, Mmaize told stories of rivers that healed when respected. As Ifunanya's 16th year approached, neighbors shifted their faces. Some offered comfort, others watched like judges. A cousin, Obidi, whispered that a promise is a bond stronger than rope. Do not bring ruin to the family, he warned. Amara bristled. Ruin comes from cowardice, not from protecting your child. Chijioke begged the priest for counsel. Ezeoma said softly, spirits honor bravery and not tricks. Do not attempt clever lies. Mmaize pressed a second shell into Ifunanya's hand. If both hum together, hold still. If one hums, move. The flood season swelled the river's chest. Canoes rose and settled like sleeping beasts. Ifunanya's shells began to hum in the evenings just at dusk. She trained her breath to remain leveled. Chijioke carved a small wooden charm with her name and the word return. Amara sewed it inside Ifunanya's wrapper, where only a mother's hands would know. Mmaize set a small gourd of clear water by their doorway, saying nothing, face solemn. The village chief called for calm, promising protection, though his voice jittered like a tired drum. On the night of the flood moon, the river shone as if dusted with ground pearl. Ifunanya wore a simple blouse and a blue wrapper, with the charm hidden. Amara walked on her left, Chijioke walked on her right. Mmaize followed at a respectful distance. At the bend, the mist rose and folded into a gateway. Ifunanya, the river called. tender and commanding, as she stepped forward, raising her chin. I come without force, and I request freedom to return, she said. No blood must be taken from me, no salt spilled in my name. The water curved like a listening ear. Agreed, came the answer. If you enter freely, you may return freely, unless blood seals what fear desires. The time drifted over them like a warning wind. Amara touched her daughter's cheek. Remember the market's laughter and the smell of pepper after rain, she whispered. Chijoke's hands shook as he pressed his forehead to Ifunanya's. Your path was opened by my failure. Walk it with wisdom, not anger. Maize's eyes glimmered strangely. Not all bargains end with loss, he said. Step carefully. Ifunanya entered the river. The water lifted her as if it had always known her weight. She did not choke, instead, the current slid into her lungs like a second breath. Mist closed behind her, and Okuta's wails rose low and aching. Under the surface, light gathered in ribbons, leading her to a palace made of moving water, columns shimmering with patient strength. Upon a seat woven from reeds and shells sat Emiri Unwai, the river mother. Her gaze felt like rain that seams through roofs. Welcome, child who chose, she said. Life beneath the river did not follow clocks. Ifunanya learned to guide currents away from weak banks, to suit eddies that trapped driftwood, and to hear sorrow carried by floods. The river mother showed her memory stones, each holding the shape of a rescued life. Protection is work, the spirit said. It is not a crown, it is a net. Ifunanya asked about returning home. Return is a tide, the river mother replied. It comes if the shore remains. Ifunanya held the shells Umaeze gave her and waited for their home. In Okuta, grief hardened into sharp edges. Some blamed Chijoke for the bargain, others blamed Amara for resisting too long. A small group of men, led by Obidi, decided to secure the village by binding Ifunanya to land. If salt keeps spirits away, it can lock her with us, he argued. In secret, they poured salt at the family doorway and cut their palms, letting drops fall as oaths. The shells on Ifunanya's neck screamed in silence. She looked up from the river's palace, sensing a hook thrown towards her freedom. That same night, fever crept through Okuta. Children coughed and elders shivered. Amara boiled water, her face pale but steady. Chijoke carried buckets from neighbors to neighbor, speaking gently, trying to repair trust with service. Ezoma urged everyone to cleanse vessels with hot water and ash. Umaize visited quietly, guiding Amara's hands to mix herbs. Keep salt away from her resting mat, he warned. If salt surrounds her name, the tide will hold her longer than intended. His gaze flicked towards Obidi's compound, then returned to calm. The river mother sensed the village's sickness and addressed Ifunanya. You may go to heal, but remember the clause. No blood for you, no salt to bind you. Ifunanya nodded. I will serve as rain serves. The palace opened a path that felt like a remembered song. She stepped out into dawn mist at Okuta's edge, older and steadier. Amara saw her and did not shout. She walked as if entering a dream carefully. They embraced long enough to measure lost time. Chijoke approached slowly, eyes wet. We will talk after this, she said. Ifunanya moved through households like cool shade. She asked for boiled water, clean cups, and quiet rooms. She taught mothers to wash hands until the skin felt new. She brewed mild teas from herbs Amara prepared. She sang softly to keep fear from growing teeth. People listened because her voice made panic feel shy. She carried no charms openly, just patience and the shells hidden beneath her wrapper. The fever gradually loosened its grip. Even those who had criticized Chijioke wept in relief, grateful for another hand that steadied them. Jealousy grew where gratitude should have lived. Obidi, restless and fearful, whispered to his friends, "She will forget us again. Bind her now before the river calls." They sprinkled new salt near Amara's doorway at night and stirred coals with blood-wet fingers. When Ifunanya approached the threshold, both shells began humming hard. She halted. "Who spilled salt?" she asked, voice leveled. Men stared at the ground. Maize arrived, expression sharp as a cold blade. "You build cages with ingredients for soup," he said. "You do not know what you cook." Maize washed the salt away with the river water and packed clean clay over the entrance. "Blood is a door," he told the men. "You opened it without wisdom. Return what you took from yourselves." He set them to the river to rinse their hands while speaking words of release. Ezoma oversaw the rites, his voice firm and tired. Amara stood beside Ifunanya, anger and love tied in one knot. Chijioke apologized to the whole village for the secrets that began this long road. He did not ask for pity, only repair. As the fever faded, peace returned carefully, like a bird thirsting a branch. Ifunanya met her father beneath the mango tree. They spoke without defense. "I chose to leave," she said softly, "not to punish you, but to protect our home. You tried to buy time. I won't spend my life paying for fear." Chijioke wept and nodded. "Teach me how to carry the truth," he pleaded. "Start by serving widows and fixing boats," she said. "Tell young men that quick answers are expensive. Words are doors. Use fewer keys," she said. That night, the river mother spoke inside Ifunanya's dream. "You returned with work, not pride," the spirit said. "This village remembers your hands more than your miracle. That is good." The voice dimmed, then brightened. "But there is a last note. The blood oaths. If they remain tied, the tide will always pull." Ifunanya woke before dawn and gathered the men at the square. She explained clearly how blood seals things that salt only starts. No threats, no curses, just facts and a path to undo what fear had done. They walked to the river in a solemn line. Ezeoma guided simple words. "What we bound in fear, we release in understanding." The men washed their hands until the water ran clean. Obidi knelt longest, remorse shaking him like wind shakes a leaf. Imaize watched, quiet and unreadable. The shells around Ifunanya's neck softened from a sharp hum to a faint purr, then settled into silence. A small rain began, kind enough to bless without demanding notice. The river mother's presence felt near, not heavy, like a friend standing at a door. At sunset, a slender column of shimmering water rose at the bend, visible to Ifunanya, Amara, Chijioke, Ezeoma, and Maize. "A promise made in panic has been worked into wisdom," the river mother said. She turned to Chijioke. "You learned the difference between hunger and greed." She faced Amara. "You carried a house through long nights." Then to Ifunanya. "You chose freely and returned freely. The depth is closed." The column folded back into the river. Night came softly, as if respectful of a home that had finally unlocked itself. Okuta held a feast that tasted of relief. Women brought roasted plantain and spicy fish. Men poured palm wine mixed with water to honor balance. No one spoke in grand riddles. People thanked out loud the hands that healed them and the patience that kept them kind. Chijioke stood and told the full story without hiding, from the empty net to the forbidden bargain and to the return built on courage. Some wept, some nodded, all understood. Truth did not erase pain, but it kept new wounds from forming in silence. The next morning, Omaeze packed his beads. He hugged Amara like a brother, clasped Chijuke's shoulder, and bowed to Ifunanya. Guard your words, he advised gently. They are boats. Some carry families, some sink them. Ifunanya studied him. Who are you really? She asked. He smiled slightly. A messenger when needed, a traveler when not, he said. His outline blurred as mist gathered around his feet. By the time anyone blinked, the hut stood empty and the reed bed beside the bend rustled as if someone had passed through kindly. With the depths closed, Ifunanya still visited the river at dawn. She did not ask for riches or visions. She simply listened. Some mornings, the water offered silent company. Other days, she felt a warmth as if a palm rested on her back, steadying her. Children gathered to hear small lessons. Why nets must rest between casts, how to read clouds, and why no one should speak bargains into water when fear is loud. Amara watched, pride soft in her chest. Chijoke repaired canoes and trained boys to walk with care. A season later, heavy rains threatened to cut a fresh channel through Okuta's farms. Ifunanya stood at the swollen bank, palms raised. She guided villagers to build barriers of woven reeds and packed earth. She hummed the tune the river mother taught her, the one that loosens the grip of angry water. The flood slowed, then slid into a gentler path. People cheered, not widely, but with clear gratitude. Ezoma murmured, "Our river is not our enemy. Our fear is." The village slept that night without the taste of dread. Years passed. When travelers asked about the forbidden bend, children pointed proudly and said, "It is where our river listens best." Ifunanya kept the shells on a string by her bed. They hummed sometimes, not in warning, but like a memory singing to itself. Amara's hair silvered, Chijoke's hand grew calmer. Obidi became the loudest teacher of patience, telling young men that shortcuts become chains. Okuta prospered modestly, with fewer quarrels and more shared work. The river remained wide and watchful, reflecting moonlight like a promise finally spoken clearly. When asked to tell the tale, Ifunanya used plain words. A man tried to buy safety with a promise made in panic. The river kept it, but love and courage reshaped it. We learned that words open doors our families must walk through. We learned that fear builds traps and patience builds bridges. Respect the river, respect your breath, respect your promises. She would then smile and add, when you feel lost, walk towards kindness. It knows the way home. The river moved beside Okuta, calm and deep, like understanding. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to this point, please give this video a thumbs up. It will help grow my small YouTube channel. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on these stories. If you haven't subscribed yet to my YouTube channel, do well to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I post more interesting content like this. If you haven't gone through my channel yet, do well to go through my channel. I have more interesting content like this. See you guys in my next video. Bye.